Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all very kindly for joining me here. It's August 14th, 2024. It's Wednesday, and our highlight of our market morning is going to be the CPI report coming out prior to the market open. But before we go into this, I would like to extend a special welcome to any Lions that have come over from Greg. So I just want to thank you very kindly, and hopefully you'll find something of value here and decide to stay. He is out for the next few days. We won't do an afternoon report, but I am here in the mornings. Feel free to leave anything in the comments. We also have a Discord group that you can post to. There is a link in the description that you can feel free to join us there and learn from others if you have any questions, or help others if you possibly have answers. So with this, I'd like to move into what's going on for this morning. So starting with our favorite risk indicator, which of course is the MMRI. So 245.5 right now, even though it's in high territory, it is still retracting a bit, kind of on a stable level. So not too much as far as a change in that. Now, we did have the PPI numbers, the producer inflation, that came out. The inflation still increased for the cost. However, it was less than they expected. So with this, the market had a bit of a rally because they are expecting that this has left the door open for the Federal Reserve to cut rates. So with this, the market anticipating, we're still in the extreme fear territory. We're looking on the fear greed index, but we are watching more people and more money coming back into the market, as I said. So with this sentiment at the moment is it's going back into a kind of an everything's fine right now because that producer price index was weak. CPI, if it is weak also, it will extend this rally a bit on the cuts expectation. But the possibility of running into a bit of resistance on a few of the charts. So possible sell-off to follow that. None of this is financial advice. I just like to make people aware of the probabilities and what to look out for ahead of their day, whether you're a trader or not, just so you understand or know what's going on basically. So with this, the main elements of the MMRI, the 10-year yield, we'll be watching that. Did go a little more positive, but the dollar is losing strength. So with the dollar losing relative strength, that did give room for these markets to rally. So right now we've got the stock basically prior to the open in the green, and the futures kind of level, but also green. Now we've got gold is pretty much close to an all-time high, I believe. It's above the 2,500 level. We've got silver also putting on little more gains. I believe personally it's an excellent buy below $30 for the long term. But you have to decide this for yourself. So we've got oil is back in the green as well. So there's more Middle East tensions going on. I'll talk about that in a bit. But basically, because they believe there might be cuts into the supply, even though in real terms supply is increasing and demand is going down because the economy is struggling a bit. But at the moment, we've got free-flowing money coming into the markets. So this includes, so take a look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin back above 60,000 levels. So it's holding pretty strong at this level. And this is because a lot of the long-term in the Glassnode data showing that long-term holders of Bitcoin not selling. They are holding on with their diamond hands, is what we call them. So with this, that's maintaining their strength. I just want to do a quick mention. The current market rates have retraced. So the 30-year right now, just above 6.5%. And this is spurring a few purchases, people that have been waiting. Basically, now they qualify for their loans. So it has increased a bit from what it has been. It's still, for the most part, a stagnant market across the board, but it's regional. We've got some areas where real estate is still increasing, and then somewhere it's dropping, namely like Florida and Austin. So with this, let's move forward. We've got a calendar of events. The CPI, which is the big one because it's the Fed number coming out 8:30 prior to the regular market open. And then I put these events here for Thursday because they all are prior to market open also. And if they're going to affect your portfolio, your trades, if you've got long-term trades, you want to set up your trades prior to market close today. So namely jobless claims and retail sales. So these are more indications of how, quote unquote, how the economy is doing, because these numbers are always off in their reporting. The numbers are fake. And we realize this, but when these numbers come out, they use these numbers as an excuse for the moves they make, whether in their policy changes. They use it as their quote unquote data, faulty as it is, for their moving forward. So with this, we've got, these are the earnings companies, the big ones that are coming out today before the opening of markets after for today, and then prior to market open on Thursday. So a couple of these we're watching. Alibaba and also JD.com are Chinese companies. We're watching John Deere because that's basically good on the farm supply. Basically, if you look at private use, as opposed to Caterpillar is like the commercial for keeping an eye on what is actually happening here. So today, prior to market open, UBS also, banking, and a few others. Okay, what's going on behind all of this? So we've got another, we were talking about Gresham's yesterday. Today, I just wanted to bring up what they're calling Triffin's dilemma. Now, again, they always come up with these, kind of fancy names or things to coin what is going on. But basically, Triffin's dilemma is another name for what happens with capital when you are in trade, but you happen also to be the reserve currency. So with this in mind, namely the US dollar. So with that strength of the US dollar, when it's pulling back, we have a weaker dollar. That means that it encourages other countries to buy United States goods and services because it's less expensive. But we can basically look at this forward. It's also called the paradox, because if you mess with currency too much, it does affect your trade. So just kind of bring that up at the moment. So with this, going across the pond, looking at the euro, because all of these are now relative in strength and do affect the American markets. So euro inched towards highest level against the dollar this year. And this was because they are also looking at our markets, expecting that Federal Reserve rate cut. And if you haven't been here, I've been saying that my expectation, given the basically the overall look, is 0.25% is the likely in September, and then probably not anything else for the remainder of 2024 as far as cuts. So we'll see if that's correct. But in all, the cuts are largely irrelevant because they're easing on the back end very quietly through other methods. So with this, let's go into the German auto industry. So basically, they are having issues with their supplier side. So they moved a lot of their business out of Germany. So the manufacturing there was really hurting. And Germany is a major player in the global auto industry. So basically, they are seeing a surge in bankruptcies and layoffs in the supplier. So this in particular is regarding the seat manufacturer, Recaro Automotive. So they normally supply like BMW, upper end Lamborghini, and also Mercedes-Benz. So they filed for bankruptcy because the trend basically facing financial challenges and needing to cut their costs, they're going down. So with all of this, just kind of showing what's actually going on in the economy, not just for here, but also Europe and globally. So with this, I want a reminder to look at New York Community Bank Corp. They're talking about regional bank pulse check. They're very weak. And as I said, there would be multiple mergers, acquisitions, and then also just basically selling out to the larger banks. Now we've got US Bank are in a lot of Kroger grocery stores across the United States. They're closing down their in-store banks. Now, there are a lot of other branch closures, and they're basically blaming this on people preferring to use mobile banking. So I think while a good portion of that is true, that there's much more going on with this. So with this, also want to look at Blink Fitness gym operator. Basically, um, they are looking at issues as well and filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So real economy is not doing so well, and this is globally. So with this, few other stories that in the bigger picture, we did have this basically talk over X. I was one of the listeners, so I was fortunate enough to be one of the ones that got into the room prior to that denial of service attack that they experienced. So Elon Musk is offering to assist uh, Donald Trump if he makes this to boost government efficiency. So in the larger scheme, if this did happen, basically there is a lot of fat to trim, if you would, in the government. So if he helped with government efficiency, he's shown he has no issues whatsoever with cutting jobs. We would see a large portion of government jobs, I would suspect, go by the wayside. However, that's just some interesting news from that side. We've also got over in Japan, and I haven't spoken about this much, but the Prime Minister's not running for a second term. So this is leaving room for a new premier. And basically, what this will do is free up their hands to basically do more rate hikes if they need to in order to save the yen. Now, the yen has been a bit in free fall. And as I've spoken of this before, they are the first Western currency that is going into a basically collapse mode. So United States has realized after that crash last Monday that they kind of have to basically help them out and spread out the risk on this. And I believe they did this through a couple of other markets, namely South Korea. And then also with their bond purchasing program, they are the largest holder of United States debt. So if they go down, it's definitely going to hit the United States markets again. So with this, I wanted to mention this that came out, Digital Bridge, offering 152% premium for basically JTAR for a deal. So their telecom infrastructure, that should tell you there's much more going on in the background about this if they're willing to overpay right up front for this. So we'll keep an eye on this as well. So our economy right now basically is a war economy. We're not producing enough. The GDP is based largely on bolstered by all of the weaponry that the United States is producing and shipping to multiple areas, for the most part, Ukraine and now Israel are benefiting from this because they are the ones getting the larger weapons package deals from the United States, basically government. So with this, we've got a few things going on that are creating some of the tensions, not just in the market, but globally could cause a shock. So now we've got an ally sending troops to Russia. Who is this? Belarus. So they do have more allies and a lot more strength than what is being told in the mainstream media. Russia's very strong, and they're trying to put out stories about them lacking troops and other things. It's not quite true. So we've also got this kind of little danger flag here. We've got Putin affirming Russia's support for Palestine. Now, this is because the Palestine Authority, who is not Hamas, and in fact, they are actually a faction against it. So they're just kind of bolstering that alliance. So Russia striking back at Ukraine's ground incursion into Kursk. This is something that has just basically happened as well. They're getting bolder now with the, how do we call this? The foreign advisors, quote unquote. So that's basically NATO coming into the rescue and bolstering their supplies, their weaponry, as well as their ground troops. So, just in a short, we've got, as I was saying with Russia, that Western countries that favor Palestinian statehood, they're basically supporting the Palestinian Authority. So, as I was saying, they're internationally considered the representative of the Palestinian people and a slight rival to Hamas. So they only control like a few parts of the West Bank, and that will probably be rearranged very soon. So I thought this was interesting. So we've got the defense, who's in charge of the American defense, Lloyd Austin. Basically, our commander in chief is absent and unable to handle all of these war dealings. So Austin is now ordering the major deployments into these conflict zones, which is actually not the way this is supposed to go. However, they are getting away with it. So along with this, we've got US, Australia, Canada, and the Philippines now doing naval air force maneuvers in the disputed South China Sea. The reason I bring this up is the nation is divided. Basically, when you take on war too many fronts, it makes you weak. This is a classic failure move. So hopefully things will change very rapidly regarding this. But without all of this, there's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel because they are speaking about a lot of moves off of this. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of trade going on that does control this. So with this, if you're a trader, I wish you all a great trading day. And if you're not, just a wonderful day in general. Thank you all kindly again for joining me. I know this went on a bit long, but until I see you again, my friends, stay free.